This video will demonstrate how to add auctions and items to your mobile app. Begin by logging into your admin portal. Click on Auctions in the menu to the left. Here, you can view a list of all the auctions that you have added to your app. Note how easy it is to see if the auction has been published or made visible to people using the app, completed, and whether or not it is a timed auction. In order to load your own auction, click on the Create tab above the list. Leave the first checkbox by Published unchecked until you have finished loading the auction and adding items. Enter the auction name. This should be short and descriptive. Enter a short description of the auction. This could be a phrase used to generate interest in your auction. In the Terms and Conditions drop-down, select the appropriate terms and conditions for the auction. These must have already been uploaded to the app before adding the auction. For more information on adding terms and conditions, watch the training video on this topic. I'll select the terms that we created specifically for this auction. Enter the start date and time for the auction. Select the appropriate time zone. For estimated minutes per item, choose the amount of time that you anticipate each lot in the auction will take to sell. This will be used to generate notifications for users who have set reminders for certain lots. It's always best to err on the short side for this value so that notifications will tend to arrive a little bit early. I will choose 2 minutes from the drop-down menu. Here, you can modify the starting paddle number if desired. In the Timed Auctions section, check this box if you are setting up a timed online auction. Then, enter the time that you wish the auction to end. You already entered the start time above. Auto Extend by Minutes adjusts the amount of time that an auction is extended when a winning bid is received in the last minute of an auction. This only applies to timed auctions. This gives bidders who are outbid at the last moment a chance to receive an outbid notification on their phone and to raise their bid if desired. This number is set to 1 minute by default. Since this auction that I am entering is a live auction and not a timed auction, I'm not going to enter anything here. Keep in mind that this is simply the default auto extend for the auction. You can override this number for any lot when you begin to add items to the auction. The next step is extremely important to the success of your auction because it deals with the bidding increments for the live auction or the minimum bid increment for a timed online auction. Click on the arrow next to Default Bidding Increments to display the bidding increments. Make sure that bid increment 1 is set to the smallest increment that the auctioneer would use to raise the price of an item. For instance, in a real estate auction, this may be $1,000, but in an estate auction, it may be as low as $5 or even $1. Keep in mind that for timed online auctions, the smallest increment listed here will be used as the minimum bidding increment. By default, these increments appear to be set up for a real estate auction. Since I'm inputting an auction of vintage records for the purpose of this demonstration, I'm going to lower bid increment number 1 to $1 and adjust the rest accordingly. Again, these will serve as the default bidding increments for the auction, but can be adjusted for each individual item. One thing to keep in mind is that all of your bid increments must be multiples of the lowest bid increment that you entered. For instance, if your lowest bid increment is $10, you cannot make the second bid increment $25 because it is not a multiple of 10. However, if you made the first bid increment $1 or $5, you could have a second bid increment of 25 because 25 is a multiple of both of those numbers. Once you've finished entering all the information for your auction, click on Save. You are now returned to a list of all your auctions, and you can see this auction here at the top of your list. You can also see that it has not been published. Before you can publish the auction and make it visible to users of your app, you must add at least one item to your auction. To add an item to your auction, click on Items in the left sidebar. Click on the Create tab. From the Auction dropdown, select the auction which this item is a part of. And here you can see the auction that we just entered. Under Name, enter a short description of the item. Under Description, enter a more detailed description of the item, and note that you can even use these buttons above for formatting of the text. To add an image, click on the Create New Image button. Then click on Choose File. I can then select this photo from my computer and click on Choose. You can here see the picture displayed for your item. Under Item Details URL, you can provide a link to the item page of your website. This will allow users to open the item page from your website from within their BidWrangler app. This is a great feature to use if you have a photo gallery or other highly detailed information on your website. If you are auctioning real estate, click on Location to enter the specific address of the property you are auctioning. Auction Position allows you to adjust the auction position of a lot in a multi-item auction. I'm going to put this as 1 because it will be the first lot auctioned. If you want to enter a starting bid, you can enter it in the starting bid field. This amount will be automatically generated as the opening ask price in a live auction using the app. If you wish, you may also enter a reserved price. If this is a timed auction, you can enter an amount to auto-extend this item. If you enter a value here, it will override the auto-extend time that you entered when you created the auction. Under bidding increments, you can adjust the bidding increments for this particular item, overriding the default increments that you set when you created the auction. I'm not going to enter any information here because I want to use the default bidding increments that I set up when we created the auction. Click on the Save button. You can now see this item in your list of items. If you have more items to enter, simply create more items in the same auction by clicking the Create tab and following the procedure we just discussed. When you're done, it's time to publish your auction. To do this, click on the Auctions in the sidebar to the left. Click on the Edit button to the right side of the auction that you wish to publish. Check the box by Published, scroll to the bottom, and hit Save. You can now see the green check mark under the Published column for this auction, and if you go to your app and refresh it, you can see right here that the auction has been loaded to the app.